we're going to start off again with the 4-screen view. This is your top, this is your front, and this is right, and this is your perspective. Okay. Again, the way you drill down to one of these viewports is by left-clicking, double left-click where it says perspective. So you double left-click, and you're now in the perspective view. To go back, you just double left-click again, and you're back to the 4-port view. If you want to go to the right view, double left-click, double left-click. Okay. All right. So again, the basics of what 3D is you're starting with a curve. So in Illustrator, like you see the curve here. As I'm building it out, I'm circling around the object. And here, when I get to the point, it's now snapping. That means it's connecting the curve. If you leave it open, like so, and it's not connected, it's not going to create a solid object. It's going to have errors and defects. So it's very important to connect this. Now, there's several ways of connecting it. So I'm going to start over again. And my favorite is interpolate points curve. It's the second one over here. Okay? Interpolate points. So if you go on the line, click it on, there's a second one over. That's the one that's like Illustrator. So when you start to use it, you'll start to see that it has that same kind of, you see how it's like the curve works like Illustrator almost, and you're able to shape around.
Which button is that?
Okay, I'm gonna walk around and I'm gonna show everybody. Okay, that should be right here. Click and hold it down. Click and hold it down, and then it's the second one over. There you go. Yep.
Oh, okay.
All right. So just click on that for now. Don't worry about.
Another one.
Yeah, just work, and then just you can just start clicking around. Yeah, and just start clicking around. Okay. Yeah, click and hold that down. Left click. No, just hold it down. Click and hold it. Yeah, hold it down. Left click and hold. Okay, now move over there and select. That's the one. You just start clicking on the screen, going around.
Lisa, you got an extra pen?
Hey, Lisa, same thing with you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Alright, I'm doing
Go to this curve over here.
this one,
Yep, click, hold it, second one. That one, yep.
and now what?
Click on it again, left click again. Oh, try it again.
Wait a minute, I'm left clicking, oh wait a minute, I right click on it?
Left click,
Left,
and hold it down. You see where your hand is? Where I say keep your hand. There you go. Escape, escape, escape. Okay. Click. Hold.
and it's going around and around.
Hold on a second. I think we could crash it. 1 second.
Now, what was double left click again?
Oh, when you double left click is you click on the word perspective, right, left, and that will drill down into the viewport. So left click and hold, and then move it over, and then let it go.
Okay,
And now you can start clicking around. So let me escape and try it again.
left click
Yeah,
and hold.
hold, move over to the second one, let it go. There you go. And you see it's saying, okay, so
Now what? I can
start left clicking onto the screen. Now up here is a command line. You see this up here? It says command line on the top.
Yep.
So whenever you do a command,
command.
okay,
That's correct.
it's going to ask you questions. Okay? See, it says start of curve. That's how you know you've launched the command. Okay? If you start to left click, it's just going to use the standard settings that you have here. But I just want you to, for right now, don't worry about those functions. Just notice the command line. I want you to notice the command line because it's talking to you. Rhino is telling you what you're doing.
Right.
Okay? And that's how you know is by the command line. Okay? So I escaped that. Okay, so now, why don't you guys just pay attention for a second and let me just kind of show a little something before you guys drill in. Okay, so here's a curve. Okay, and this is the basic of what we're going to build off of. Okay, so I'm going to just do a couple of other curves over here. Let me just start clicking, making some other. And what I'm drawing on is called the planar surface. Okay, this is the ground zero basically. If you rotate, you see, I'm like on the ground of the modeling design surface. I'm on the ground, okay? Now, this is what makes
Now, how do you do that where you're changing like
right click is for rotating. So what you would do, you would double click into, and then you can right click to rotate, okay? So now as you're gonna see, I'm not doing anything on the screen. I'm gonna use the keyboard now. And what my command is, and you guys can write this one down because this is gonna be the one you're gonna use a lot. Control E, and that's extrude curve, okay?
Control E.
Control E.
Okay.
All right. So don't do that yet because that's not set up for. We're gonna set everything up. I want you guys to kind of just. We're gonna go over everything and we're gonna start to set up the laptops. But I want to give you guys a good overview first. Okay. Now you see here it's extruding in two directions right now. Okay. So I don't want to extrude two directions. It says both sides. No. Okay. I want it one direction extruded. Okay. And right now it says solid yes. I'm just going to put solid no for now. And the reason being is I want to show you the second thing that 3D models are based off of is surfaces. Okay? So step number one is make a curve. Step number two is make a surface. Now if I make another surface and cover those two holes, now it's a solid. And what we call that is a watertight solid, meaning there's no holes and the thing is 100% sealed. Okay, why is that important? Reason is when you start to do 3D printing and 3D production, you do not want to have models that have any kind of holes because the 3D printer will fail. So they want what we call watertight models, and that means that everything is sealed. So the second command I want you to write down is when you select the surface and you hit Control C, is capping it. This is an automated way of making it a solid by capping the two holes. And that's Control C for capping. Okay, you see, now we have a solid here. So what we had before, and I'm going to show you the example here, okay, is the surface. Here's a curve. That's step one. Here's the surface. That's step two. Here's a solid object. That's step three. Now, as weird as that object looks, and believe me, as a jeweler, I made some weird looking designs. You know, this would actually 3D print. Okay, this object will 3D print. We'll get into measurements, weights, and stuff like that later. Right now, I'm just trying to get you guys to get familiar with the basics of what 3D is. Okay, so with this type of process, we can make different kinds of designs. And what I would like to have you guys walk out of here today doing is making a logo. You guys want to make a logo today?
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to start off with some common logos, and I'm going to show you my workflow. And then I suggested to bring some drawings. I know we weren't in touch, but next week I'll have you bring a drawing. Leon, do you have a drawing that you brought?
I didn't bring it, but I have it. I could probably pull it up.
Anyway, I'll give you guys some logos to work off today. Lisa brought her drawing, so we'll make the thing. The end of this 8-week class, what I would like to have done is that you have a model that we're going to make a jewelry piece out of. And that'll be something that will be our final objective. So we're going to walk through the whole process on how we're going to do that. And by the end of the class, we'll have a piece of silver jewelry, brass jewelry, or something like that. And we'll go forward with that. And I'll walk through all the process. Another thing that's really important is that this is not just for jewelry. Even though I am a jeweler and this is what I use it for, it can be used for a lot of different things. So once you start to model artwork with it, you can render it and use it in your compositions. You can use it for website design. You could use it for making video games. There's a lot of different things that this can be used for besides making jewelry. It's a lot of different types of applications, as you would say. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to now start from this view here. And this is what we call the top view. So when you look at the perspective here, the top view is basically looking straight down. Okay? So if I lay it like this, I'm basically looking straight down. That's this view here. Okay? This view here is looking straight down. So now what I'm going to do, under this icon over here, is something called picture frame. It's like a multicolored little box. Okay, we're gonna make a shortcut out of it, and I'll show you how to do that. But for right now, just remember something called picture frame.
Which one is that?
Okay, so that's, if you want to know the icon from the top where you see the arrow, it's the blue one, which is like a flat plane with little dots on it. Hold it down, and then go to the one that's multicolored. You see it?
Yeah.
Okay, you click on that.
Okay.
That's picture frame. Now it's asking me, you know, which picture do I want to grab?
Right.
So you guys want to do Starbucks, or I had a bunch of logos here. Any logo here you guys want to prefer?
Panda.
The panda? Panda's good choice. That's a good choice. All right, so now here's the panda is now inside Rhino, okay? And I have all these other logos around here.
Yeah.
I'm going to get rid of them. So the way I do that is I'm going to just draw a box around with the curve. And I just use the box tool to make the curve. I'm going to select that, and you know, here, split. So the split command is, you see these two icons here? You click on split, you hit the curve, right click, and now I can delete everything else except for the panda. Don't worry, don't stress yourself out. Like I said, I'm going to go over everything. Right now I just want to do an overview. I'm recording everything. We'll go step by step. Some of these computers are not set up exactly the same as mine, and we're going to do all those processes to get us there. Okay, so but for right now, just kind of try to remember. And so now here is the panda. I'm gonna double click on the top, come in, drag it to the center. Now, one of the things as a jeweler, I like to know the measurement of this thing. But for right now, don't worry about it. We can always scale things up later. So the first thing I do is I lock it. So for lock, I set it up as Control W locks. So now I can't mess with it. It's locked into position. All right, now on the right hand side over here, this is showing properties. Leon, take a look. This says properties here. The next one is layers, okay? I just left click on layers to make sure it's in the front. Layers is the same thing like in Photoshop. It's just layers of your work. It helps organize things, it helps separate things, and it just helps color code things, because there'd be a lot, it's like Lego blocks. We need to color coordinate the Lego blocks to organize them and how we're building them. So right now I have something where I call my work layer, which I'm clicking on, and it's like a greenish, bluish color. So now when I draw the curves, I'm gonna see it. Otherwise it would be black, and you wouldn't, you know, the default is black. We wouldn't be able to see it, right? So I chose a color that's kind of like, you know, stands out, and it's this kind of aqua color.
So basically you lock that layer and then you're going to trace on top of it in a different layer?
Okay, sort of. This is on a layer, but I'm not locking the layer. I only locked the object.
Okay.
So this object is locked. Now I'm switching layers because I have a layer that I like to work on, and we're going to organize things by layers, by curves, by surfaces, by solids, and we separate by colors. So I have a work layer that I keep as an aqua green, and now I'm going back to that curve command, which was that interpolate curves right here, the second one, okay, the one that I showed you. Left click on that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start tracing. Oh wait, I didn't switch layers, hold on. Sorry about that. I'm going to double click to switch the layers. You see the check mark box? The check mark box is telling me I'm on that layer, okay? So now I'm going, and now watch when I draw, the color stands out. It's that blue color, so now we can see where we're going. Now this takes a little getting used to. You see how it operates? You see how I'm moving it? And it acts like Illustrator. It acts like an Illustrator curve. So I tend to zoom in, and I just start to go, and I just start to trace it out. Just following the line. I don't need to be super exact. I just kind of want to get the feel of it. You know, I don't want to be too far away, but you know, I don't have to be so perfect with it. I mean, again, it's depending what you're trying to do. Now you get to certain points where I have to put a lot of points. You see, like here, I'm gonna have to start putting more points to get that detail. Here, see, look, I'm putting more and more points. Okay, there you go. Now I'm zooming back out. And that's important. You see how many points I had to go in there to get that design? Okay, so that's that. If I didn't put as many points, it'll be like, you know, it wouldn't capture that shape. Okay, so now I'm zooming back out, and I try to use as minimal points as possible. You don't want to have like a whole lot of points, but you just want enough to get the shape. So I'm going around. See how here I'm not going with a lot of points. Now I'm extending it out. Okay, these are really important tips that you guys should pay attention to. Now here, this is where it gets tricky. So here I might now get to the end of it, right click. I'm right clicking, and that stops the command. Now I didn't finish making the trace. I'm going to click on it so you can see it better. So you see I didn't finish it. I can go back here and restart the command. Okay, and when I'm bringing it to this point, it's snapping. You see it snapping? I'm going to zoom in so you can see it snap. It's snapping. If you guys need to move closer, you know, feel free to move closer. I am snapping to the end. See? It says end.
Okay.
You need to snap. If you start here, you're no good. If you overlap it and you start like here, that's no good either. You have to snap to the end, where it says end, right there. Okay? And there down here, this is where it says end, near, point. So I'm going to turn off near, and I'm just going to just keep it at end. Okay? So we're going to snap to the end. You know, this is a very important thing I want you to pay attention to.
Sorry.
No worries. So what I did was I got to a certain part that, I mean, I could probably wiggle it, but sometimes it's good to just end the command by right-clicking. So you right-click to end the command and restart the curve command and start it again from that point.
Right, so that's how you connect it?
So how I connect it, okay, I'm going to just show you here. I'm going to click on the command again. And when I get to it, I got to see the word end.
Okay.
And that means I snap to it.
Okay.
And then I hit the left mouse button. And now look, I'm working again. So now I'm able to start the curves again. Okay? Now again, like I mentioned to you, shortcuts is the name of the game. And one of the greatest shortcuts is if I use a command, and once I end it, again, we end the command by right click. Okay, so I get here, I'm going to just end it right now. Right click. I just ended the command. Okay, right click ends the command. Okay, here's the shortcut. Right click restarts the last command you use. Right click restarts the last command you use. So if I don't have to go back up here to click on that curve command, I just right click, and now you can see, in the command line it says, where is this? It's asking me, where do you want to start the curve? It's asking me, where do you want to start the curve? I want to start at the end, right? I want to start at the end, left click to start it again, and now I'm clicking again to add points. So left click is adding the points now.
So right click ends the command and
And
starts
restarts
it.
it.
And restarts the command, correct. So I'm going to do it again. So I'm going to right click to end the command. Okay, so now you see that now I'm moving my mouse cursor. It's free to move. I'm going to right click to start the command again, snap, left click, and then continue to put the points. Remember, snap, left click.
How you know to do the snap, or how you?
It will tell you, because down here we have options. We have end, near, point, mid, center.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Okay, I see that.
it's communicating with you when you start to move the cursor. So look, watch, Leon. When I right click, okay, right now there's no command. See, command line is just blinking with a cursor. Okay, you see it right here. Command line is blinking with a cursor. I right click, and now it says start the curve. Okay, so now Rhino's talking to me, saying, where do you want to start? I want to start at the end. So it says end. It automatically snaps.
Right,
Like,
okay.
you know, it's gonna suck it to it
Right.
without me clicking. So I move it away. Look, I'm gonna move, and it's gonna snap right there.
Okay.
And then it says end. Now I hit the left mouse button, so that starts the curve again. And now left click is adding the points. Okay, so we're going around. All right, let me do this a little bit to get the first solid object. I'm gonna just keep drawing for a little bit, guys. Right click. Start again. See, when I get to like a point like this is when I really restart the command. Again, this curve I was mentioning is like Illustrator in the way that this curve operates. So it tends to, you see how it bends and moves around? just like Illustrator. So it has a little trick where sometimes you need to restart it again to get the design that you want. So I'm just going
So you
around,
basically just stop it at the point and then restart it, going the other way.
going the other way, and
Gotcha.
that helps you see, like, this is becoming too weird of a curve. It's like I'm bending too much, so I'll right click it, start it again, and see now that's not bending anymore. See,
Yeah.
That's the action.
and now I can start over here and just bend right over
So
there.
that's basically turning it into like an anchor point.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Like an Illustrator anchor point.
Right.
So like I said, there's certain things that this is about as far as Illustrator translates in this software. Okay, is that with the curves. And I was explaining that you can actually export curves out of Illustrator into here as part of your workflow. So say you have artwork
Already
already,
have that, yeah.
and then you can just export it and you can start extruding it. So here we go. I'm just going to keep building that real fast. This guy's give me a little bit of time here. So up here, I come to this point here. This is where I'm going to want to restart the command. Right there, snapped. And this is what you guys are going to practice today. This is what I want you guys to walk away here doing, is making a logo. Snap, left click. And I keep adding there. Okay, we're coming to the first finished, completed curves. And what we call this is a closed curve. Okay, because we want it closed. We want it to be with no gaps or holes. Here, like that. Okay. So now when I select it, they're all going to be separated. You see, like the yellow part is showing up and the blue is not. Okay, so what does that mean? It means it's not joined. Okay, so the next command I want you to learn is the join command. So what I do is I'm going to left click, drag, select all the curves. Like a box, you make a box around it. And we're going to hit the join command, which is right here. It looks like two puzzle pieces put together. And you're just going to left click it. And it says 11 curves joined into one closed curve. So again, Rhino communicates with you and it tells you what you got. If this says 11 curves joined into two open curves or something like that.
So you left click and then you drag around it, right?
Yeah, like make a box. So
And then you join.
yeah, so left click, you see the box that I'm making here? And then I would select it and everything will turn yellow.
Right.
And then I hit, here's the join command, is like a puzzle piece.
Right. Got it.
One of the things I want to show you now is, like, if you hit the middle mouse button of your mouse button, I have a pop-up menu, which is my most commonly used commands. So we're going to learn how to build that as well. We're not going to do that today, but you know, these are the things that we're going to do over the course of the class is shortcuts, and I'm going to show you how to set up Rhino's interface, and little by little, I'm going to give you the most commonly used commands to do what you want. I'm not going to show you every single command in Rhino because it's like pointless. I'm going to show you how to make the art that you want to make as soon as possible. That's my goal. Is to
Right.
get-
So you just have, what you're saying is you'll just have like a shortcut menu or
Yes.
something where you'll be able to, like, you know, hit it and do extrude or hit it
Yes.
and do join,
Correct.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, everything is in one tiny little box there when you hit the middle mouse button. So these are my most common commands. So right there's join, right there's that curve command, you know, right there's my intersect command. I use that all the time. My project. So these are the commands I'll eventually teach you, and these are the ones that I use. I don't use every single command. You know, this is the main commands that I use to do the art that I need to do, and that's what we're going to be going over the course of the 8 weeks. Okay, so now here we have a completed curve that looks like sort of like a panda. Let me give it its chin, its eyes. Let me finish it off.
Yeah, do the whole thing.
Yeah, let me do the whole thing. So,
Got
what's
it.
the command to restart the last command you used?
Right click.
Right click.
Right click.
So that was join, so that's not what I need. Okay, so I'm going to do my middle mouse button and choose the interpolate points, but where was it over here? What do I do here?
It's like top, the second one down.
Yeah, but what mouse button do I click and what do I do to select this?
click.
Left click, hold,
Hold.
go over the
Right.
command,
Inner
Let it-
bullet point.
inner bullet points, let it go, and now, how do you know it's on?
Because it has like the plus.
It's saying
Oh,
at the
okay.
command line, start of curve.
Okay, got it.
The
Right.
command line's telling you that we're starting with the first point, okay? So here we go. I'm gonna start making it just by left clicking, adding control points. And snap, see, it's snap. Snap to the point. It doesn't say end, it just says point because it's the first point that we started with.
So,
Okay, and then I left click and now that's, if I select it, it's one closed curve. Okay, same thing with the chin. Oh, okay, so what did I do to restart the command?
Right click.
Right click. Start the command. And man, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love the right click. It's like, it just makes your workflow so much faster. Okay, there's the chin. Let's do the ear. And in fact, I think everybody should do the panda today just because it's got the right kind of, it's not too complicated and it's got enough difference for you to get a feel for it. And I have a USB stick and we'll walk around and get everybody to. Okay, and then right click here.
this is creepy.
Here you go.
Oops. All right, so I messed up here. One thing I can do is I can hit escape to get out of it and just restart.
So you gotta start back at the beginning.
You could just
So you
click
do
there.
Command Z, Control Z.
Let's see. Yes, you can go Control Z to go back one point. But sometimes I have to restart it. This is so bad.
Right.
Okay, there we go.
Did you do the ears?
hmm
I did.
You did it.
Okay.
Did the whole
So, what's really cool is you see this part's kind of like a cutout here. So, if I was to select just this curve here without that one, and I extrude it, okay, and now I'm going to select solid, okay, and another thing to remember is we can punch in the number of units. So each box is a number. I have it set to millimeters.
Okay.
Okay, so each square is 1 millimeter, 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter. So if I hit 2 enter, it's going to do 2 millimeters.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So that'd be 2 millimeters thick.
Yeah, 2 millimeters thick. Now, but if I go to perspective now and I take a look, you see the chin didn't cut out.
Right.
Okay, because I didn't select. I selected and it made it one big solid piece. Okay, so I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna delete that. And I set delete as Control X.
Right.
So you might want to write that down. Control X is not cut. I set it as delete. Control X.
You do -2, does it engrave it and stuff? -2 instead of +2?
Yeah, you can do -2 as well. All right,
The
so
3D printer can do that. Will it build up the negative space around it then?
So-
if it's inverted.
let's hold off questions for now. Let me just kind of go through this basic stuff first, and then as you guys are working, you can start asking me questions. I just kind of want to go over the whole.
So now, do you have that little piece already? Did you outline that little piece?
So there it is. You see the little piece?
Okay, so how do you cut it out?
All right, so there's a couple ways of cutting it out, okay? One way is we're going to make two objects. One is at 2 millimeters, and then we make that other piece a little bigger, and then we subtract from that piece. That's one way of doing it. It's called Boolean difference. That's the term that we use, and it's just a way of subtracting. But the easier way, watch this is the trick. I'm going to select all the curves, okay, everything's selected, and I'm going to go back here to this view here, just so you can see. And I'm going to extrude it all together with a 2. And if you look, the hole's cut out.
So why did it do it like that and it didn't do it before?
Because I didn't select it before.
Oh, okay.
I only selected just the outer curve. Now I selected it, and if it's inside a curve, it's going to subtract it.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a little trick to do it. So here, I'm going to go back to perspective view so you can see it. Maybe a little too thick. Let's do a little thinner. That's the one. Okay. And let me now unlock.
And delete or
Yeah.
turn that off.
All right, so how I did that. Okay, so I go to unlock, I do Control Shift W. Control Shift W. So Control W locks, Control Shift W unlocks. Okay? And then, you know, at this point I would just delete it, but if you want, you can, I believe it's in the default layer, you can just hide the layer and then it hides it. So that way you can always pull it up again. And now, this is 3D, but this is not printable. You cannot make this into 3D print. You can print it, but like this is gonna move around. This is gonna move around.
Oh, why is that?
Because it's not attached to anything.
Oh.
Okay.
Shit.
So you know,
So what would you put, like a little thin thing, and then you cut it off later, or what would you do?
probably here I would like have like a background that's smaller, like less thick, and this would just be kind of like recessed in or raised up, and this part would be lower. Bless you.
Okay.
This would be lower, and I would leave this like this. I mean, we can get into like design for jewelry later, but like right now, let's just concentrate on modeling this.
Okay.
Okay, and you know, I think that's a good basic thing right there because I want to see you guys start using that curves command. And I'm gonna walk around and let's just do the same thing. Get to where I'm at with the model. Does that sound fair, guys? All right, cool. All right, so let me pause the video, and then we can start doing. We have pizza and drinks if you need.